Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a first look at 3 brand new lenses for Sony full-frame E-mount cameras. Now, of course, all 3 of these can work with APS-C as well, but they were designed specifically with the a7C in mind, and that's because when Sony launched the a7C, they gave us a camera that was approximately the same size, although a little bit larger than its APS-C brethren, with, of course, bleeding edge capability for its form factor. What we did not have, however, were really any lenses that matched that form factor. We were left with a lot of things, like this. Of course, this is a gross example, being that it's a 200 to 600 G series lens, but you get the picture. Outside of the kit lens that launched with the a7C, there were no lenses to match this rangefinder compact form factor. And now we have 3 affordable options. So, first and foremost, we've got a 24mm f2.8 lens. This is going to be launching mid-May, roughly $600, $598, I believe, is the retail on all 3 of these. Incredibly compact. This is the widest option of this crop of new compact lenses. And, they are all G-series glass. They all have an autofocus and, or rather just an autofocus switch, as well as a lock button, and also the ability to turn the clicking on and off for stepping through the range. So, a really compact piece of glass, and it follows all the design cues of G-series glass that Sony has essentially been using since they launched the 24 to 105. So see what that looks like on body right now. The next lens is the 40mm, which again, very similar build, but if you've noticed, the lens hood is not a traditional one. It's more of the style of the original 35mm that launched when the A7 series began. At least that's what it reminds me of. And this is an f2.5, again, prime piece of glass, basically the same properties when it comes to design. The click switch is there, and we also, of course, have a lock button and an actual autofocus switch. Also really lightweight. It is metal, and I believe all of these are made in China. And I knew I said I was going to get this on the body, but let's just get to the last one. Again, also $600 basically before tax. This is the 50mm f2.5, and the properties very similar to the 40. From what I've read about these, the 40 seems to be the best in class of the 3 of these, but I haven't read anything really negative about any of them, because you have to remember, at $600 a piece, the fact that Sony has basically blessed us with 3 different options that are incredibly portable. I mean, how much smaller could they really be? And they perfectly match the a7C. It just seems like a complete no-brainer. And again, if like me, when you review, or rather used, I reviewed it, but when you use the a7C, to not have glass that really matches the form factor is a bit of a buzzkill. I mean, granted, I have plenty of E-mount glass that I was able to test the a7C with. I knew that we needed form factor that was complementary from a balance perspective and also from a marketing perspective. I mean, if a consumer is going to be convinced to pick up the a7C because of its form factor, then clearly we need lenses to match and still deliver on great still and video performance. And that's what I see all 3 of these hopefully delivering. It keeps the body nice and light, balance, again, really good now with something like this, whereas using, typical glass from either G or G Master options is really going to be incredibly unbalanced on the a7C's form factor. So this was, obvious that it was coming. We didn't know exactly in what capacity, but there's just a look at what the 24mm, and that I'm assuming is going to have the hardest time because, really compact wide-angle lenses generally do, but we'll see. Now we're going to take a look again at the 40mm, and I just think it's smart because these are priced right, in my opinion, because to have $600 prime options that are compact. I think this satisfies the exact market that Sony was after with the a7C, which are hobbyists and enthusiasts that are not looking to break the bank, and they're really looking for a phenomenal camera that does not also hurt their back after a full day of shooting and traveling. And I think at least the beginning of this trio of lenses, these primes, between their pricing and hopefully performance that follows suit, because I'm not expecting them to be amazing. They're $600 pieces of glass, but I am expecting them to do very well. The idea is that anyone who's traveling and trying to do so light without compromising, image quality and build quality, hopefully that's exactly what this trio is going to deliver. And when you think about it, you can buy all three of these for what traditionally a single G-series lens in the full frame realm would cost. So that's kind of amazing. Again, as long as the performance is there. And I'll only know that once I get out there and start shooting with these. But I think it was appropriate and, of course, obvious that this needed to happen. I think it is the beginning of really cementing the a7C's standing in the market, because God knows if I didn't have an A7R2, an A7R2 as well as an A7R4, and I was brand new to full frame and I was looking for an affordable compact option, this would be it. I mean, you've got a well-made body that can do pretty much everything. It's not, they didn't reinvent the wheel. Many would argue, as back when I covered the a7C, that it's really just a derivative of the a7 III, but with its form factor and overall, in my opinion, it's better to travel with. It has some key improvements. I have no reason that I would ever look at the a7 III now that something like this exists. For some people, they'll still want the a7 III, and that's perfectly fine. Sony still makes it. That's usually how Sony rolls. So, nice to see some affordable compact glass for the a7C. The a7C deserves it. It's been on the market long enough, and I wasn't necessarily expecting them to launch in the pandemic, because God knows the pandemic has not been a great time for cameras, even though the A1 has launched, and Sony's got a lot of other glass that I'm waiting to review. It's just a pleasant surprise to see such small, affordable primes that I think, again, really aesthetically and hopefully from an imaging standpoint, complement and again solidify the a7C. And that's what I think these little guys do. So again, I will report back, of course, as usual. I'll be updating on performance and which is my favorite. Again, from what I've read so far on early impressions from other users that have gotten them early, the 40 is the one that really shines. Just outperforms the 50 and the 24. But I'm going to, of course, tell you what I think. So you'll have to wait and see. And again, these should start to ship in sometime mid to late May. All the usual sources, B&H, Adorama, Best Buy, stick with the authorized retailers. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button. And as usual, please feel free to subscribe and please stay safe. Later.